What is going on, Sports Biz Campers? It's your host, Christian, here with a very special guest, Miss Brooke Rosenberg. Miss Brooke is with NASCAR. She's the senior account executive with the driver and team marketing at NASCAR. All right, so now we're in the actual Chalk Talk portion of our Chalk Talk video. So this will be broken into 4 quarters since we are in sports and entertainment. The first quarter is going to be the preseason, which will be a brief introduction. Then the second quarter going to training days, which will be like your early career path, high school and college years. Third quarter is regular season for your current role, and then your day-to-day, what it looks like today. And then finishing off fourth quarter in the playoffs, you got to perform in the playoffs. So we're going to end off with some career advice for the high school students. So
Great.
going into our first quarter with the preseason, just going to give your name again, a brief introduction, where you're from, where you work, and then one aspect of sports that you appreciate the most.
So my name is Brooke Rosenberg. I am from the Bay Area in Northern California, and I work at NASCAR in Charlotte, North Carolina. One aspect I love about working in sports and appreciate the most is the people. Honestly, you don't get much better people than everyone in sports. First of all, everyone you meet loves sports, so you get to talk about your favorite thing. And everyone played sports growing up, so that's kind of a fun, competitive environment.
Speaking into that environment, you mentioned everyone loves sports and everyone played it growing up. So going back into your high school days and your early college years, what did you initially want to do as a career? And then did you spend more time playing or watching? And then how did that kind of lead into like your first break into the sports industry?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I actually really wanted to work in sports marketing. I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. I didn't really know what my job would entail, but I knew I loved playing sports. I knew I loved watching sports. I knew I loved going to the events and seeing this like whole production come together. And so I really loved that. I loved the commercials during the Super Bowl. I thought that was awesome. The marketing behind it was really cool, and seeing all of that. If I spent more time playing or watching sports is probably debatable, but I think probably playing. I played soccer, basketball. I tried to swim and play softball. Those both epically failed. And then I also ran cross country and track to stay in shape for soccer. Was that it? Was that all the things I had to answer?
And then your first break into the sports world?
Oh, my first break. Probably, I would say in high school, I worked for our ASB leadership, whatever you would call it, team there, and I ran our sixth man. And so I worked doing that and like doing school spirit. It was making these banners. It was hyping everybody up. It was trying to promote the basketball games, and kind of as small and silly as that sounds, I feel like that really got me to love promoting sports and sporting events.
Going into your current role in the third quarter in our regular season, how did that experience kind of cultivate your career now? If a high school student were to shout at you, what would they see you doing in your day-to-day? What are 2 aspects of your job that are most satisfying? And then what's that one skill that has helped you really move forward in your career?
My day-to-day is so different. So I think if someone were to shadow me, it would be a different day every day. If they shadowed me for a full week, everything would be a little different. Because I work in our driver and team marketing group, I work with all of our cut drivers. I work on their personal brand building. So helping drivers kind of go from being athlete to that superstar level. So if that's helping them with entertainment opportunities, with helping them with their social media, kind of all aspects of building their brands. And then I'm also kind of helping on the insights behind it. So if someone is posting on social media or they need help with any of that, I'm helping on the back end, helping create content that we know is going to perform well. So there's so many different aspects. And then I'm also at the track, keeping the relationships with the drivers and their managers, and making sure that everything is kind of staying in line. 2 aspects of my job that are the most satisfying, I think just seeing sports, and especially our sport, continue to grow and change for the better has been amazing. And then seeing our fans on social and at the track grow and get more diverse has been incredibly satisfying. And I love that I have been a little part of helping everyone get there. And then lastly, one skill that has helped me continue to have success in the sports industry, I would say just like always willing to help. I want to make sure that everybody knows that I don't think anything is below my position or what I'm doing. So I am always willing to lend a hand if it's helping move stuff at the track, if it's helping somebody with a project, if it's creating a PowerPoint for someone. You always are willing to help, and I think that's really helped with my success.
Perfect. Ending off with our fourth quarter, we're in the playoffs, time to end the game. So, ending off with some career advice for the high school students. If you could go back and tell your high school self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself? And then after attending this camp, what is the very next step that high school students should take to eventually take your job?
So, if I could go back and give my high school self one piece of advice, it's a little difficult because I feel like I should give my high school self a lot of advice, but I would just say don't be afraid to like take chances. I think the best advice I was given is to just like be open to every opportunity. I would never have the job I have now if I hadn't applied to jobs all over the country. And so as scary as it may seem, you need to be able to go outside your comfort zone. And I think that really grows you as a person. And then after attending this camp, one step you guys can take to prepare yourselves to take my job would definitely be to cultivate relationships. Relationships are so big in sports. And I think not just making them around this camp or with the people who are speaking here, but really cultivating those and listening to people who have to say and asking people to be your mentor. Relationships are so important in sports, and you have to continue to cultivate them and follow up with people just like you would with friendships. A really good piece of advice that I learned is to not just send a LinkedIn connection to someone, but to write a message in there. If it's hearing someone talk on a video, if it was listening to a conference, kind of making the message personalized so the person really has a reason to want to connect with you. And hopefully the goal is to maybe mentor you or help you get a job someday. So I think it's really important to have the value of those relationships, even if you don't get to see them in person, but to really have that message there on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, I definitely look forward to cultivating and growing our relationship going forward.
Definitely.
Thank you for taking the time out to host this talk with us. And for the campers watching this video, stay tuned for the more content we have coming up.